It's hard to believe, but it's been exactly 10 years since Sony Pictures and Marvel Studios agreed to add Spider-Man to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The golden days when we wondered if Andrew Garfield would be there, if the character of Wary Ultron would appear, and how the franchise would develop with villains like Venom, Vulture, Mysterio, and so on. Now we are on the threshold of the fourth film, which will begin shooting this summer. And although everything is quiet with the official news, curious hooks continue to surface on the territory of insiders. Hello, you're watching The Final Cut, and it's worth starting with the merged script of the movie The Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. The 169-page article was written by Jeff Lovins, author of Quantumania, and at the time of spring 2023, it was assumed that it was on its basis that the studio was planning the development vector of the MCU. We have already devoted a separate video to this topic, so if you want to know the key points in a short retelling, we recommend that you familiarize yourself with it. The retro futurism of the Fantastic Four trailer is a breath of fresh air for Marvel, which is mired in identical plots. We really hope that they won't let us down with Doctor Doom either, and he will be, like in the comics, a gothic aristocrat dreaming of space. Here we plan to delve into the story arc of the Spider itself, whose elements are likely to be used both in Doomsday and directly in the fourth solo album. So, from Peter Parker's point of view, the plot of the Kang Dynasty starts with the fact that we are shown how the hero, along with Miles Morales, study at the Empire State. Yes, according to the original plan, the studio expected to release the fourth Spider before the fifth Avengers, and there we would have to present the film incarnation of Miles. Peter makes fun of his comrades, remembering how he stopped a robbery the day before using a tablet and a spider web, making it clear that he would prefer to just hit the criminal. Their conversation ends abruptly when the teacher asks Peter a question. Caught off guard, he gets lost for a moment and remains silent. Miles quietly supports him and Peter forces out a response. After class, Peter checks his phone and sees photos of MJ and Nada from MAT, and then a picture where MJ is kissing a new guy. This completely unsettles him. Miles, not noticing Peter's condition, suggests they come up with a duet nickname, for example, Spider Friends. Peter smiles slightly and suggests the Spider Bros option. They leave the building, change into their costumes, and set off to patrol the city. It turns out that the characters have taken a part-time job at Joe Pitt's. However, due to the constant delays, the boss has already threatened to fire them. Both are in desperate need of money to cover the rent of their apartments. Otherwise, they could be evicted. Flying over the busy streets, the heroes notice a minor crime. A thief is trying to steal something from a store. Working together, Peter and Miles quickly stop the criminal. However, due to another delay, they are fired. Peter and Miles come out of Joe's Pizza visibly upset. Their boss angrily snatches the pizza boxes out of his hands and leaves. All this, as you might have guessed, is one big reference towards the second part from Sam Raimi. Miles tries to lighten the mood with a joke, but Peter, who is already tense, breaks down. He accuses Miles of not taking their duties seriously, reminding them of the burden of responsibility on those who bear the name of Spider-Man. Miles, startled by the harshness of Peter's words, is touchily silent. Peter realizes that he has gone too far and freezes for a moment, torn between his own anger and sympathy for Miles. In a quiet but firm voice, Miles makes it clear that he is ready to carry this burden with Peter. Peter hesitates, but eventually, driven by his fears and personal worries, he turns and walks away behind the crowd. Miles just stares after him in silence. Meanwhile, the Kang Council launches a full-scale invasion of the 616 universe, and Mortis sends a message to the inhabitants of Earth, in which he condemns the planet to extermination for the crimes of the Avengers and the theft of valuable artifacts. In the case of the latter, we are referring to Kamala's bracelets and Tenshung Chi rings. Spider-Man is watching this in one of the districts of New York. Kang Council warships are beginning to appear all over the planet, and one by one they unleash energy volleys that easily destroy skyscrapers, famous buildings, and entire megacities. In the midst of this horror, Spider-Man is relentlessly flying on the web to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, where NED and MJ are located. Everything is collapsing right before our eyes. Miles, too, cutting through the air on a spider's web, catches up with Peter, begging him to stop and move away from the epicenter of the disaster. The hero is afraid that if they continue to take such risks, they will simply die. But Peter refuses to listen, too preoccupied with the idea of saving their friends. Both Spider-Men look up in horror. When Kongi activates a second, even more powerful wave of destruction, the city plunges into even more chaos. Buildings are collapsing one by one. and burning debris is raining down on the streets. The tremors and flashes are getting fiercer, raging fiery tornadoes. Entire neighborhoods are being swept away, leaving no hope. In the midst of the terrifying chaos, Miles almost dies under a collapsed skyscraper. But at the last moment, Peter manages to save him. When the dust has settled, Sam Wilson's Captain America sends a message to the surviving heroes, asking them to gather in Wakanda, the last stronghold of Earth. Peter and Miles come to the call with the help of the Strange Portal. Discussing their future plans, the heroes of Earth come to the conclusion that they need to destroy the leaders of the Council of Kangas in the person of Immortus, Centurion, and Ram Tut. The heroes are divided into 3 groups. Peter and Miles join Daredevil, Punisher, Hawkeye, Warrior, and Ironheart to destroy the Ram Tut fortress and sever the channel that feeds the Kang's power. The battle was fierce. Daredevil and the Punisher are killed trying to hold off the Kang's army. Other heroes engage in direct combat with Rama Tut. In the rush of battle, the villain strikes Peter with a crushing blow with a baton, knocking the hero back several meters. Peter, covered in blood and almost exhausted, tries to get up, but the injuries are too serious, and he falls to the ground again. Miles, driven by anger and desperation, steps forward to single-handedly confront Rama Tut. The young Spider is not going to give up, even despite the obvious superiority of the enemy. Rama Tut mockingly looks at the hero, considering his trick stupid and ridiculous. Exhausted, Peter tries to shout at Miles to back off, but the words are barely audible. Suddenly, Rama impales Miles with his scepter, killing him on the spot. Spider-Man looks at all this in horror and is unable to move. All 3 groups are defeated, and Mortis manages to get Miss Marvel's bracelets, and Captain America gathers the surviving Avengers in an underground bunker, a secret facility created by Tony Stark in case of a similar end of the world. The remaining heroes include Hulk, Thor, Ant-Man, Shang-Chi, Kamala, and of course, Spider-Man. An ominous green sky now hangs over the planet. Acid rain is pouring down non-stop, and lightning flashes illuminate the poisonous rays. Nuclear winter reigns below, thunder rumbles. The heroes still have 10 rings at their disposal, and everyone understands that time is running out. Eventually, countless Kang legions surround the bunker. The heroes, including Spider-Man, engage in a deadly battle resulting in the death of Shang-Chi. And then suddenly that version of Kango the Conqueror from Quantumania appears on the battlefield. Soaked in energy from beyond the limit, the character captures 10 rings, and he begins to fight Immortus, crushing Loki's world tree. Reality begins to crumble. The remaining heroes continue to resist the armada of conquerors. A ship appears in the sky, from which Jackman's Wolverine and Toby's Spider come out, asking Holland's Spider and the others to go with them. It turns out that shortly before the Kang's invasion, Loki instructed TWA to collect anchors from different universes, which should be the last hope in the event of a cataclysm. Together with the Fantastic Four, the organization managed to create a special ark capable of transporting passengers to a safe zone of the multiverse. Peter and Kamala manage to get into it, but everything starts to collapse. Kang from Quantumania kills Immortus. As a result, he uses his newfound powers to unite the fragments of the lost universes into a single world. The arc with the rescued heroes falls into the hands of Kango, and that's the end of the picture, and then the secret wars go on. And the first thing worth discussing is the appearance of Miles Morales. The studio's original plan was to release a 4th solo album before the 5th Avengers, so don't discount the possibility that a second Spider could be introduced in upcoming projects. The second point is the presence of Toby the Spider in the picture. We believed in this, and the merged script, in fact, confirmed that Feige had received carte blanche to use the iconic image. Therefore, we can only hope that within the framework of Doomsday, the authors will use it correctly, and also give us the long-awaited interaction with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. Well, the third point is the dominant role of Tom Holland's Spider. The character is one of the few characters that the mass audience is interested in watching. Therefore, I am glad that the studio is making a huge bet on the development of local St. Petersburg. Curiously, the script itself hardly mentions a black suit, which means that according to the original idea, the 4th part did not develop a storyline with a piece of symbiotes. Therefore, he had to get it as part of the Secret Wars. That's why I wonder what kind of reaction Toby the Spider might have, who has already had such a sad experience. As for the role of Spider-Man in Doomsday, recent insiders indicate that throughout the picture, the hero will act in a mask. That is, the situation will resemble the Mandalorian, which was voiced by Pedro Pascal behind the scenes. whereas 90% of the time there was a stuntman in the costume. And with this approach, the studio will kill two birds with one stone at the same time. This will continue the storyline with Peter not revealing his identity to just anyone. Well, it will give Tom Holland the opportunity to quietly star in Christopher Nolan's Odyssey. Anyway, the Spider hype is just beginning, so keep an eye out for updates so you don't miss anything. And on that note, we say goodbye to you. Write in the comments what you think about the failed Spidey storyline within the Kang Dynasty. When, in your opinion, should Miles Morales be introduced? And what do you expect from Tobey Maguire's participation in Secret Wars? See you soon, friends.